It's Ricky of Moshville Times here once again. Now, if you listen to my show on a Thursday night at Moshville Radio, you will know that I comment a lot on Roger Johansson and Johnny Peterson working on 50 projects at the same time. Well, the UK has its own version with Ryan Wills, ladies and gentlemen, giving these Swedes a run for their money. So tonight we'll be talking about his projects past and present, but most importantly, what's happening in the future. But first of all, I've got to ask, how the devil are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
You living well? How's things in Blackpool?
Yeah, well, we're just next to Blackpool. We're in St Anne's, which is the kind
Oh,
of
St
nice,
Anne's.
the nicer area.
Yeah, I was there last year actually with the wee man, on the holiday. So it's really nice.
Hmm.
It's a really nice place to be. So what's it like for like the metal scene? Are you found a nice wee rock pub and a rock venue or anything like that? Or
Um, well, there's a couple of like alternative bars and stuff in Blackpool.
yeah,
There's a friend of mine that owns one. That my partner used to work at.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, metal scene wise, there's not really a lot here. You got to go to Manchester for that.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
it's
well.
better than where I was.
Just remember, stay on the front at Blackpool. Don't go streets behind Blackpool.
Mm.
Just watch yourself. So anyway, I do have a lot of questions for you, I'm afraid. So if to achieved so much with albums, gigs, record labels, and still be only 29 is quite frightening. But looking back on what you've done and where you are in the present day and looking into the future, are you satisfied with what you've achieved so far?
I'd say so, yeah. I think I've like release wise, I think I've put out a healthy amount since since COVID started. But then
Yeah,
again, even before that, I put out a couple of albums and a couple of EPs in my old black metal band. So yeah, I mean, gig wise, I like to have done more,
yeah,
honestly, but I think that's still to come and still in the works. So
yeah. Well, I'm
mm.
already pissed off with you because you mentioned a couple about your black metal projects. We are coming on to that. But before we do, I want to know where it all started. Like, was your family, were they all quite like musically orientated and then you got into music? Or was it something that you saw on the telly and you just went, I want to be him? Or what was it that got you into music in the first place?
I mean, my family have always been very musical. Like my parents, they used to be in a choir and they used to play in a brass band, and my two older brothers also used to play in that brass band.
Could you have
But
went down that route?
say again,
Could you have went down that route?
absolutely not. But my the younger of my two brothers, he was a drummer, and he was really into like all the like the new metal stuff, and
Yeah.
that's pretty much what got me started on listening to alternative music.
Yeah, yeah. So what were you into beforehand, before you got into like new metal, say? And then what was it that got you into the more extreme things? Did somebody give you a CD or did somebody say you have to listen to this or what was it? What was the song that said, this is what I want to do with my life?
Um, so that's a very good question. Um, I can't really remember what I was into before that. I think it was just whatever my brother put on the telly because he used to listen to a bit of everything, like he put on like the pop channels and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And yeah, and he used to show me stuff like Limp Bizkit and stuff like that. And because of the age I was, I used to find it hilarious when he was swearing a lot. So yeah. And then he showed me bands like Slipknot, which then really got me into it and started watching more stuff on like Scuzz and Kerrang back when Scuzz was a thing.
That's right.
Um, and I think it was like when I started to like buy Metal Hammer magazine and stuff like that. And I met a friend who was dating my old next door neighbor who were also metalheads, and that's how I discovered Judas Priest.
Yeah.
Uh, what I remember there. I think I was into bands like I think the heaviest thing I listened to at the time was like Children of Bodom,
Okay.
and then like I met this guy who was dating my neighbor, and he like showed me bands like Behemoth, like Cannibal Corpse and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, man, this is pretty good. So then, then I started getting into that. And I wasn't like really into that stuff yet. I was just kind of dabbling and like listening to a lot, like a little bit of it here and there.
Yeah,
Um, but then I remember going into a newsagent's after school one day, and it was I think it was like a death metal special of Terrorizer
yeah.
that came
Brilliant
with like the
magazine.
CD. It looked like a Vincent Locke painting, with the guy with long hair and the pointy guitar on the front who looked like a zombie.
Yeah.
Had that, and yeah, that came with the CD. I remember the first song on that CD being Hammer Smashed Face as well. So, and then yeah, that was like my big introduction to like death metal. And in that they had like the top 20 best like death metal albums. This was
Yeah,
one of them.
yeah.
You know, so
For me, though, it's still Mental Funeral, not Severed Survival, but it's Mental Funeral for me.
yeah,
Um,
see, it's a close one, but I still go with Severed Survival.
yeah, well, let's have an argument about it then. Um,
Okay.
but before, when you talked about the black metal projects, I think that was when you were around 19 or 20. Before that, were you in like a high school? But in fact, what age did you have your first instrument? What was your first instrument? Was it a guitar, or did you want to be a drummer in the first place? What what was it?
I mean, I've always wanted to play guitar. So
Right,
my first guitar was a bright blue Strat copy. It was an Encore,
right,
and I
okay,
think I got that when I was fuck, how old was I? I was either 11 or 12
okay.
when I got that. And I wasn't really serious about playing guitar at that point. I just thought, oh, I'm gonna play guitar, and then I got my first guitar, and I just kind of fucked about on it a bit. Um, but then it wasn't until like a year or so after having that I kind of started to see a little bit of progress, and I was like, do you know what? I could probably get good at this. And then a few
Yeah,
years after that, I finally got my first proper guitar that I chose.
yeah.
So
So did
yeah.
you do like music at school? And then maybe did you have like a high school covers band that maybe done like thrash covers or something like that?
Not really. I mean, like I'm trying to remember what happened now. Like in school, I didn't really have many bands in school.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried to form like loads of bands. We there was one band that I was in where we ended up just doing like some like really shit like early 2000s metalcore covers and
Okay.
stuff like that because like I will say I am a big Killswitch Engage fan. So like fight me on that if you want. I'll
I
die
bloody
on that
will.
hill.
I'll see you in October.
That you will. But yeah, like we just did a load of like really shit metalcore covers. Um, but then after that, I met some guys outside of school who were better musicians, and again, we ended up doing some shit metalcore covers, but we also had some original material, so I was enjoying that a bit more.
Okay.
But again, like no disrespect to the guys in the band, the music wasn't very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like no, like nothing really happened until I started college. So
What was it
yeah,
musically orientated what you done at college, or was it just people that you were
yeah,
hanging around with? Music, yeah. What was it you done at
yeah. No,
college?
basically when I was in school, when you got into year 10 and you like chose your, like you did your options, like
Yeah.
your chosen subjects. Even though my parents were musicians, they saw that like my brother who chose to study music and all that, he didn't really get anywhere with it.
Yeah.
Um, but that's another story. But basically, when it came to like choosing the options in school, I wanted to do music, but
Yeah.
then my parents were kind of like, "Nah, you'll never get anywhere with that." So I was like, "Okay." So I did media studies, which was another one of my passions, which is films.
Okay.
Uh, I ended up studying films like Cloverfield and stuff like that. It was loads of fun. But yeah, and then when I got into college, I was like, "Nah, fuck that. I want to do a music course." So then that's when I started studying music, and I did 3 years in St Austell College studying music.
Well, it certainly paid dividends, especially for the likes of us listeners as well. So, but as far as I can see, and apologies if I get this wrong, but when you were around 19 or 20, you became involved in, maybe a lot of people didn't know this. Well, if they listened 5 minutes ago, they did. You were involved in a black metal project entitled Deadwood Lake. So was that to do with your taste in music back then, or was it maybe the best of the bunch from where you stayed at the time and you saw them live and you thought, I want to be something in this band?
Well, the way that Deadwood Lake came about was so two of the guys in Deadwood Lake, Bruce and Tom, the singer, bass player, and the drummer, right?
Yeah,
They were in like a progressive death metal band, kind of like Opeth, they called Reign of Perdition.
yeah,
And like I think it was around 2013, I think they would play in the Metal to the Masses in Plymouth,
okay,
the like the Battle of the Bands to Play Bloodstock thing.
yeah.
And I thought these guys are fucking good. But that was like, before I was really like into Opeth, and I was like, these guys are good, but I don't really get it. And then I listened to Opeth and then listened to Reign of Perdition afterwards. I was like, okay, I get it now. So, I was friends with those guys on Facebook for a while, never spoken to them, never really met them before. Um, it wasn't until what was it? It was like 2016
Yeah,
when I started to do my guitar covers on YouTube.
okay,
And at the time, I was really into black metal. I really liked bands like Emperor, still love Emperor, like Belphegor, like really going hard on Behemoth and getting into some like atmospheric black metal bands as well.
yeah,
And that's what a lot of my covers were to start with.
yeah.
And Bruce, the well, for big boss man behind Deadwood Lake, he's not very big. He's about 5'4", but
I'm sure he's
big boss
glad you
man
mentioned
behind.
that.
He'll love it. It's fine. But yeah, big boss man behind Deadwood Lake. He messaged me because he'd been working on some black metal stuff because a year before that, his brother passed away in a car accident.
Hmm.
I'm sure he won't mind bringing it up. It's like, it was the whole reason why Deadwood Lake was a thing.
Yeah,
So, he started working on some like atmospheric black metal stuff as like a way to like cope with the grief.
yeah,
And he had him and a drummer, but the guitar player from Raid of Perdition moved to Norway. So, he was like, oh, gonna need a guitar player to make this to work because, Bruce is one hell of a bass player.
yeah.
Can't play guitar to save his life though. You should see the way that he writes tabs. It's fucking ridiculous, you know. But yeah, then he messaged me based on I think it was a Winterfilleth cover that I did, and he was like, "Yeah, do you know what? This guy's pretty good at black metal. I think I'll get him involved." And that's how I joined Deadwood Lake. I think I was 19 at the time.
Yeah, yeah. I think they released like two albums. I was actually listening to Immortalizing Death earlier on, so
Mm.
it's a very, very good record, and it's completely different to what you're doing nowadays. So I was surprised about your black metal past. But it's all a path in it, isn't it? It's a journey.
Hmm.
But after Deadwood Lake, you stayed within the black metal genre at the same time with no bullshit, raw and uncompromising satanic international project Mort, which I think is a great name for a band, by the way. But this time
Oh,
you were doing the drums and drum programming. So, how, when did you become a drummer?
I didn't. That was all programmed drums. Fucking, I forgot all about that project. And to be honest, I'd rather it left, stayed forgotten about. Jesus Christ, that was a mess.
To
So
be
basically, like there was a guy in the UK black metal scene that I was friends with who was in like every single band in the Cumbria area,
yeah,
right? And he like I programmed drums for one of his projects before that I actually liked. And he asked me if I wanted to do the same thing for Mort.
okay,
And he told me that there was a few people from the scene in this band, but they all wanted to like stay anonymous and all that kind of shit. I was one of those people because there was one member that was up his own arse and was a little bit problematic. And I thought, do you know what? I'll just program some drums and then call it a day. So that's pretty much what I did, and I left it at that. None of the drama ever came my way. I just let those guys handle it, and then that was
Yeah,
it for me with more.
yeah. I can't remember the name that you were under because it definitely wasn't Freudstein.
Oh no, 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 no. Freudstein came along at the end of 2020, I think.
So do you remember what your name was in Mort? Oh, was it something like?
Absolutely not. I really don't remember. It was just some random generic black metal name that I came up
Yeah,
with.
I don't know if it was something like Clenneth or something like that, but um, but yes. So
Oh, I'm pretty. It was something like that, but I think it started with a B.
did it? All right.
I
Well,
think. But
we'll check that off here when this runs up over 40 minutes. Then I'll have a wee minute to check because it's going to annoy me now. Um, but
I
it
can't
was
even check. I'm using my phone, so.
yeah. But it was really around the end of your time with Mort in 2020 where you really focused on the music that you wanted to play and became the Ryan that we all know and love. So Seven Doors was your first official release of any of your projects in 2020. Was it after
Mhm.
you left Mort in Deadwood Lake that you had the material written as new, or had you had this in the bag for a few years? I know it was only a single, your first release, but had you had that written for a while and then you just never had a chance to release it, or was this all brand new after you left the black metal projects?
Well, while I was still in Deadwood Lake and you know, like heavily into the black metal thing, I was still listening to a lot of death metal. Around that time, Devour Immortality came out by Skeletal Remains, and that still is one of my favorite death metal records.
What a band.
And like I really got into Gruesome around the time as well. So, I was still listening to a lot of death metal. And I mean, Deadwood Lake never officially like called it a day until maybe 2021 when things started opening up again because we realized that we couldn't play any more gigs
Okay.
around that time because our drummer broke his back during lockdown because he was like working in like house renovations and stuff, and he still hasn't played drums since because he's nervous.
Wow.
Pardon me. But basically, the first single, The Nights of Terror, that I brought out with Seven Doors, that one was written maybe a month or so before it was released.
Okay.
Whereas a lot of the material that made it onto the first album was taken from old demos that I was doing like before COVID, like 2018 and stuff like that. Like I had a lot of failed like old school death metal projects that I wanted to start. And
Yeah.
then during lockdown, like even though I was still working because, I was yeah, I can't remember what they fucking called it now, but I was a support worker through lockdown. So, I was still having to work, but because I didn't have much of a social life then, understandably, I filled that time watching horror films and recording death metal,
Goes hand in
you
hand.
know. So, yeah, pretty much the first single that I released was written about a month or so before that. Um, Before that, there was loads of other like songs that I was working on that then made it onto the first album, which is up there on the wall. Where is
I'm
it? There.
impressed. I am impressed. Um, so you said that you had like loads of unused material and stuff like that, or failed stuff. To this day, then, have you looked back on them and actually used any of the old things, or have you just buried it?
Oh yeah, no, I've used a lot. Like there's a lot of the riffs on the first EP, on the Gates of Hell EP that I took from some of those old demos.
Yeah,
There's a load of stuff that made it onto the first album that I've taken from those old demos. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
like like every now and again I'll go and listen through a lot of my old like projects on Cubase, and I'm like, do you know what? This wasn't too bad.
yeah,
And then I'll relearn it, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'll use that.
yeah. So
Yeah, so that's how that went.
how did it feel like with the official releases that you had before? You were always in a band, whether it was Deadwood Lake or Mort. but this time you're a solo artist. Did you feel the pressure, or is this something that you wanted to do, or was it just, I want to record music, put it out there, and see if anybody's going to listen to it?
It was pretty much that, like I had the means to record stuff at home. Like I had a microphone, I have like an audio interface that I record all my guitars and my bass through. I've
Yeah,
got like ways to program drums. I thought, I might as well give it a go,
yeah,
and then, I put out that first single. It did pretty well. Put out that first EP, already had a label interested or a couple of labels interested. So I
yeah.
thought, well, fuck it, I might as well carry on with this.
Did you feel like you releasing your single, but your intention, maybe with Seven Doors, since it was your first project, really, to become a band? Or did you always have it in your head, I'm just going to record stuff, put it out there, and do it all myself?
I mean, I think when I started it, like, you know, every project starts with the intention, I'll probably want to like play this live at some point. But with Seven Doors, it was more like, I'll put it out there. If people are interested and want to see it live, and, if people want to join or whatever, then okay, we can make it happen. But,
Make it
you know,
happen.
maybe one day.
Well, that day better come soon, mate. I'm telling you. Because
Well, to be fair, there's been a few people recently that have brought it up to me. It's like, when are you going to do Seven Doors live? It's like, oh, when I can get a band together, you
well,
know.
who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I would definitely like to see it. But when you released the first single, what were you hoping for back then? Did the response surprise you? Was it just something you want to put in Bandcamp and just leave it up there? But then you turned out that you had lots of followers and lots of people messaging you saying this is brilliant, brilliant stuff.
I mean, I already had like quite a few connections from when I was in Deadwood Lake. I had like a lot of the people in the like UK black metal scene
Yeah,
also really like death metal. So, I was thinking, well, I might have a few people that like it. Like I just thought I'll put it out there, see what happens, and then like when more and more people started to get interested, I had people asking, "Oh, when are you releasing more Seven Doors
yeah.
stuff?" And I was like, "Oh shit, there's actually people that want more stuff," you
Well,
know? So yeah, that's when everything else came about.
yeah. Well, old school death metal is back with a bang. So, Seven Doors is just right up my street. And as you know, I played it numerous times with my shows. But when you had the song recorded, then how easy or difficult was it for you to mix and master it before you were happy with it?
I mean, honestly, when it comes to mixing and mastering, like I know that I've studied music in college and I've gone to uni for music production, but I'm still not very good at it.
Yeah.
Like I can make a song like listenable where you can hear everything's going on, but I've never had it to a point where I'm like, yeah, that sounds like it could be on like fucking Metal Blade or something like that. It's just always been that kind of like that like raw demo quality.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I ended up getting other people to mix the stuff instead.
Yeah.
Like, the first single,
That's what I was
the
going to
first
ask. What did you
EP,
use for the first single? Do you remember?
what, as in instruments
A
or
mix and
um
mastering.
oh, mixing and mastering? I literally just did it on Cubase. Like, I
Okay.
can't remember exactly what I did, but I used all the tones, like the guitar tones and the bass tones, are all tones that I've built on Pod Farm. Um, drum kit wise, it was literally whatever was on Easy Drummer. That's what I always do.
Yeah.
I wanted something that sounded a little bit like it would have been recorded at Morris Sound.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to make it sound like Scott Burns mixed it in the early 90s.
Well, I have to say, like, when doing my research for the interview, I mean, I obviously know about your projects and things like that, but when I look on Bandcamp pages, for example, people are commenting on the production of your projects. So I think there was one especially complimentary comment on a Grave Ghoul, which we'll talk about in a wee minute. Just sound wise, can't believe it's just the one man that's doing it all. So I would urge you to check it and read the comment because it was very complimentary on the sound. So do you feel that as the years have gone on, you've learned new tips and new tricks and got advice from people to
Mm.
make your mixing
Yeah,
and
no,
mastering better? Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Because I think that there is a big difference between, that first Seven Doors single
Mm,
and say um like the Grave Ghoul stuff. I mean, the Grave Ghoul stuff that was like intentionally meant to sound a bit rough,
yeah.
because it's that kind of death metal. Whereas Seven Doors is meant to be a little bit more polished, but still have that like 90s grit to it,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
No, fair
But
play.
like, but with that first single, the first EP, and the split that didn't really go in, where that was all mixed by me. But then when it came to, time to do the album, I was
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not the guy for the job. So I got my friend Ben to mix the album, and I think he did a fucking cracking job at it. So
100%, mate. 100%. Thanks for coming back, Ryan. And just to let you know, and everybody else know, your name in Mort was Belith.
that's the
So you were
one.
right. Yep. So thankfully it wasn't Bell End, but it was Belith. But
It
so
felt like a bell end in that band, I'll tell you that.
But anyway, we move on. During COVID is when you really got busy and started to create new projects as well as Seven Doors, or you collabed on projects with others. So Born Undead with your lovingly titled brother-in-arms Sadist. So how did that collaboration come out? Like, who reached out to who?
Well, I already knew say, well, Jamie. I already knew him from being in another black metal band with him at the end of 2020 called no, it wasn't the end of 2020. It was before COVID,
Okay.
actually. It was a band called Wolves in Exile. It was
Yep.
kind of like an emperor dissection kind of thing. So I already knew him from that. And I had a load of I was obviously really heavily into Mortician as well. So I thought, oh fuck it, Seven Doors is doing all right. Let's start a fucking like Mortician ripoff thing as well. But then, that came about, and like at the start of lockdown, myself and Tom from the band Devastator, we were doing like YouTube covers together, and we did a Hooded Menace cover. And at the time, my vocals weren't low enough to
Okay.
do Hooded Menace. And I was like, I know a guy who could do that. So we got Jamie on board to do that. And then that's how the Born Undead thing came about because I messaged him. I was like, "You've got a stupidly low voice. Do you want to get involved with this project?" It didn't have a name at the time. And he was like, "Yeah, sure." Like he's really into Mortician and stuff like that as well. And he was already in the band Born Undead that started as like a regular old school death metal kind of thing, but nothing had happened with that band for a good few years. And Jamie was like, "Well, do you just want to like go by Born Undead and we'll just change the style completely?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, go on then." So, so that's pretty much how Born Undead came about.
Cool, cool. But how does Jamie feel that when he knows that he was actually the seventh vocalist that you'd approached to do the material that you wanted? You know?
Oh shit, Ricky.
But with Born Undead then, and with it being a collab, how was the music constructed? Like, did you still do a lot of the riffs, or was that something that Jamie done and he sent you all the stuff and you just had to do your part to it? How was the music constructed with Born Undead?
I mean, it's all the music's me, you know.
Yeah.
I do all the drums, all the guitars, all the bass. I write all the music. I send it over to Jamie. He comes up with some lyrics and then figures out the vocal patterns. He records what he's got, sends it over to me. I line everything up. I mix and master it, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And then boom, there we go. And whatever he writes about in his songs, he sends me the lyrics so that I can think of a film sample to put at the start of it. So that's
Yeah.
pretty much how the Born Undead music comes
I see.
comes together. But I'm just saying this though, for the next release, I'm not fucking mixing it.
Well, we are going to talk
I've got
about
another guy in mind for that.
good stuff, good stuff you've learned. But we are going to talk about what you're going to be doing in the future later on. But with Born Undead, you've since released a number of singles and an EP last year.
Mhm.
So what's happening between you and Sadist? Maybe I should rephrase that question, but yeah. So you may as well say it just now then, since you've started. Like, so what's going to happen with Born Undead? Because again, that's
Well,
another project that I've played a couple of times. So everything you touch is gold, man. You know.
I,
So what's next with Born Undead?
I'm currently writing the album,
So it's an
so
album next. Was that always going to be the frame of mind after the EP, rather than do another EP? It was like, no, we're going to do our debut album now.
I think to be fair, it's just doing whatever the fuck we feel like doing. And
Yeah,
at the moment, I'm like, yeah, do an album because the EP was brought out on Iron Fortress Records,
that's right.
and I've become quite friendly with Ben over at Iron Fortress, and he's like, so when you're giving me an album, then I'm like, oh, okay.
You're easily
So
convinced,
yeah,
aren't you? You're easily persuaded.
well, it's what I enjoy doing, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I could put out more music. Why the fuck not?
Aye,
So I'm about 8 songs. Like I've got all the riffs and everything. I haven't recorded the bass, but I've recorded a lot of the guitar for 8 songs
yeah.
for the Born on Dead album. And with it being like a Mortician style thing, I don't even think I'm halfway through yet. So,
Is-
so
Would you love to go into like a proper studio and record? Or are you quite happy with the setup that you've got just now? I know what it would cost to go into a studio, but are you quite happy with the setup that you've got just now, or would that
I
be?
mean, I am happy with the setup that I have because it's what I know and it's what I'm comfortable with. But I'd always love to go into a studio because even when I was in Deadwood Lake, we never went into like a proper studio, right? It
Yeah.
was um a guy that had a really good setup in the back of his mum's house,
Okay.
and like he was like everything that he touched, like mixing wise, he was a fucking wizard, right? He was so good at everything. And like if something sounded like shit, he'd change that, like he
Yeah.
fucking knew what he was doing. So like, yeah, I've never really recorded anything in a proper studio, so I'd love to do that one day,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, maybe that day will be coming sooner than you think. So keep on doing
Yeah.
what you're doing, mate. Um, but Grave Ghoul is possibly the project that you're most renowned for. So what made you create this project when you had Seven Doors and you had Dead and Buried already? Did you feel that you had something different within you to be released?
Um, yeah, I mean, I suppose even though with Graveghoul, it's still got a little bit of mortician in it. I wanted something a little bit more riffy and still quite disgusting, but with Seven Doors, if I changed the style completely to like a different style of death metal and included some like doomier and even some grind elements in there, it'd be a bit weird.
Yeah.
Like I'm with Matt Harvey from Exhumed on that. Like if you start a band, stick with that style or you'll piss people off. Hence why he's also in like 58 bands. You know, Like, if like some gruesome riffs started to creep into Exhumed, people would get a bit annoyed, you
Yeah.
know, so like, and obviously, a certain Italian band called Tenebro. I am a very big fan, and I was like, I want to do that kind of thing. So that's pretty much where Graveghoul came from. Like Hannah's will tell you as well. Like, I sent him the early demos, and he was like, "This just sounds like Tenebro. I love it." You
Well, you
know.
see, I feel as if I've gave you my bloody questions, because we are going to talk about Tenebro in a wee second. Um, but the difference between this and your other projects is that you've actually played live with Gravecool. So how easy or difficult was it to get David and Christian enlisted in the band? Was it a nightmare? Was it a year and a half and you tried like three or four different musicians, or were David and Christian, yes, I'm in?
So the way that it came about, so Graveghoul, I started with the intention of playing live, right?
Yeah.
hence why all the riffs are a lot simpler than they are in Seven Doors. There's not any like harmonies or any guitar solos
So
because
you're saying
then
David and Christian are simple musicians?
that's absolutely not what I was saying. I'm making it simple from my perspective so that I
Right.
can play the riffs and sing at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
And because there's no harmonies or any solos or anything like that, don't need to get a second guitar player. So then it's easier to find members.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then it was when I came to the first Dead of Winter, the morning before that, I met up with Dave in Spoons, right?
Right.
And as soon as he sat down, right, this is the first time I met the guy, right? I've been friends with him on Facebook and all that. We've chatted for a while.
Yeah.
First time I'm meeting him, he fucking sat down in front of me, was like, right, cut the shit. When's New Grave Gould coming out? So then, I told him that my plan was to, like do Grave Gould live. And he was like, I'll do bass for you. I'm like, that was fucking easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I know that Dave's got a pretty good voice as well, and we do the two vocal thing live. So
Loved it. Loved it.
he was more than happy to do that as well. And then when Malediction finished their set and everyone was getting ready to go home and whatever, Quando walks up to me and says, "Just to let you know, mate, you're on next year." I'm like, "Great, like no pressure or anything." No, I wasn't asked; I was told. So, then Dave and I chatted a little bit more after that, like thinking of who we could get to do drums. And then he brought Christian up. Obviously, Vulgar Dissection were playing, like they played the first Dead
Yeah.
of Winter.
That's right.
And yeah, no, he like brought Christian up. I was like, yeah, fuck it, go on then, ask him. And instantly he said yes. So, Dave sent him the first EP. He listened to it. He was like, yeah, go on then. So that's how the lineup came about, and it hasn't changed since. So,
See, when you first described that, I thought like Dave met you like 24 hours before your gig and he learned it all overnight or something like that. The way that you explained that, I was like, shit, he's a talented musician.
you know
Um,
what? Like the way that Dave works, it wouldn't fucking surprise me.
yeah, he's in so many projects as well. But David and Christian, excellent musicians on the day as well. I mean, how was it for you standing on the stage playing your material with Graveghoul? Were you walking backstage like up and down? Were you nervous or were you ready for it? How were you?
Oh man, like ever since we walked in the building, I was shitting myself. I mean, I think actually it was since I woke up that morning, I was fucking terrified, because the evening before the gig, I had a rehearsal with Tenebro, so I was a lot more confident with the Tenebro stuff than I was
Yeah,
with the Gravecourt stuff because we'd never rehearsed. Like
right.
our rehearsal was literally just a jam backstage about an hour before the set. Oh, we've got a visitor. Yeah, it was about an hour before the set is when we had our first rehearsal, and it wasn't even on like Christian didn't even have a drum kit. He was just hitting pads.
Right.
I had a little practice amp on. Dave wasn't even plugged into anything. You know, that was our first rehearsal. Was just an hour before we went on stage.
So
So
I
I
have to
was,
ask then, who made the most mistakes?
honestly Christian. But to be fair though, right? Like I've got to give it to him that even though he was making mistakes, they weren't like obvious mistakes. He like instead of I think after watching some of the footage back when we were playing the song "Make Them Die Slowly," like in the verses, it's meant to be like quite a thrashy drum beat, and he was doing blast beats still at the same tempo. But
Yeah,
all I had to do was turn around and look at him and show him what I was playing, and he changed it instantly and fucking saved it.
that
He's
is
so good.
crazy.
He's
That
so good,
yeah,
man.
that is absolutely crazy.
Mm.
Um, but listen, I hope you sold a fuck ton of merch that night because I know that you guys went down very well. I
Oh
was
yeah.
especially proud to see you up there. But
I mean,
then,
honestly, like as far as the merch is concerned, I feel really bad about like leaving Rich by the merch table because like a lot of the time when I was sat selling merch, Rich from Malediction was sat next to me and we were just chatting for most of the day. But then when I was on stage, he was he was left dealing with a lot of the merch stuff while I was packing my stuff away. And again, when I went off and like sorted myself out for Tenebro, I came back and Rich was like, "I fucking sold you loads of shirts." I'm like, "Hey,
Well, I hope you got him a pint. Shout out to you, Rich.
oh yeah,
Um, they played a stellar set as well. I think I remember when they headlined, they said that was probably the best gig that they've ever played, and they've been at it since the late 80s. So
Hmm.
fair play, absolute fair
It's
play.
Glasgow. I'm telling you, there's just something in the water there that makes you guys fucking nuts."
Well, looking forward to what's coming up in January as well, but that'll be coming out
Hmm.
in future episodes of interviews that I'll be doing. But talking of that evening, that night, you weren't complete though after your set with Grave Goal, as you'd done a second shift with Italian horror freaks Tenebro. So that must have been a bucket list moment for you then, as well as having like a full room, intense crowd reaction throughout the whole set. We all know how much merch that they sold as well. So,
Oh
but
yeah.
how was it for you to finally meet Hannes and stand on the right hand side of him on stage?
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, I'd already met Hannah's about a year or so beforehand because we went and saw Italian film composer Fabio Frizzi play a concert in London, along with it was his composer's cut of Zombie Flesh Eaters.
Yeah,
So we went and saw that in London, and that's where we met. That's where like he handed me the first Graveghoul tape that I brought out. He was like, "Here, I've got this for you," because I'm on Dismal Fate. He
yeah,
runs Dismal Fate, so he releases all the stuff. And yeah, that's where we met. The first night we met, he was already hammered because he'd been drinking Guinness all day. He got to London quite early. I didn't get there until maybe about 6 o'clock.
yeah,
So I got to my hotel, dropped everything off. I went and met him outside the venue as like a meeting point, and then we went to like just I can't remember what the fucking bar was, but we went there for a good couple of hours, and yeah, he he got to a point where he was like, "I can't finish my pint. Do you want it?" I'm like, "Yeah, go on then." So I even finished his last pint, and then I'm surprised I didn't fucking piss myself on the way back to the hotel because I went and got myself a Subway. I was like, "I really need a piss," and I was staggered back to the hotel, and I just made it, but. Yeah, and then the night after that, the day after that, we went and saw this concert, and it was incredible. So then, fast forward a year and 3 months later to the second edition of Dead of Winter, like playing with Tenebro was like incredible
yeah.
because I found out about Tenebro before the first album came out when they just had a couple of demos out. I was like, that sounds a bit like Mortician. I like that, you know. And then came the first two singles from the first album. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I really like this. And because I'm really into like horror films as well, specifically Italian horror films, and like they obviously sang about a lot of films that I really like, and like, yeah, I really got into that. And when the first album came out, that was on like heavy rotation for a good year and a bit until he started releasing more stuff with Tenebro, So, yeah, the way that that came about, um, I think the Kens were looking for a headliner, and like Tenebro had just finished, like they just played their first show in Germany.
That's
Well, no,
right.
that was before I met Hannah's, I think. But yeah, no, they played one show, and I know that Hannah's wanted them to do a couple more. So then I said to Kendo and Quando, like, do you want me to ask Tenebro? Like, I'm good friends with Hannah's from Tenebro because I know that Quando's a big Tenebro fan as well. And now Kendo is obviously. And they were like, yeah, yeah, it's wouldn't hurt to ask him. I was like, okay. So then I messaged Hannah's. I was like, do you guys want to play a show in Glasgow? And because I know that Hannah fucking loves Scotland because he goes to
He goes to
Edinburgh like
Edinburgh.
quite a
Aye.
lot,
Yeah.
you know. I was like, do you guys want to like headline a show in Glasgow? And then his response was literally like, yeah, fuck it, why not? And then my second question to him was, do you need another guitar player? Because I know that the gig that they played in Germany, they only had one guitar player,
Okay.
So I was like, do you need another guitar player? He's like, yeah, sure, go on then. Because he saw, I've done a couple of Tenebro covers on my YouTube channel, so he knew that I knew the songs anyway. So
Yeah,
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 that's how that came about. And then obviously when Hannah's was doing his big holiday trip through the UK, started in London, ended up in Edinburgh, I was like, Endo, he's gonna be in Edinburgh. Find him. And then that's where that famous story comes from.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if you've seen the video with Kendo doing his Mick Jagger impersonation.
Oh yeah, no,
Um,
I've seen the video. Hannah sent it to me.
well, it's now viral. So Hannah's can't come to Scotland without going home pissed and not getting to his hotel room. But it is what it is, and just making his fight. But Hannah's is a good guy as well. So we'll maybe
He's done a
see
lot of good stuff for me. So
100%. And I've had him on the radio as well. I had a brilliant time with him on the radio, as you know, and I've interviewed him. It was like 2 hours long. That boy can talk.
oh yeah.
Um, so, all good. Um,
I
but
remember like when I first met him, I was surprised to see that he was younger than me. I always thought that he was older than me, but he's a year younger than me.
is he?
Yeah, and he's
Christ.
fucking taller than me as well.
Yeah.
Like,
He's,
yeah.
you guys, both of you have still got so much to offer. Like everything that Tenobro does as well, it just turns into gold. So,
Oh yeah, I love it.
loved their set, and I love playing them. And as I said, as you're well aware in that interview, the only complaint I have about his band or that band is the fucking song titles. They need to sort that out. But
I'm getting better at that because I'm starting to learn Italian on Duolingo. So
are you?
I'm starting to get better at my Italian pronunciations and stuff like that. So the song titles are starting to make a lot more sense now.
So you going to start announcing them live then?
No.
Yeah, yeah. But what I love about Grave Ghoul is the samples that you use. So we're going to talk about your horror addiction soon enough. But do you watch a film? You could be just sitting on the couch and then you hear a line and then you just jump off the couch and say, "I've got to record that. I'm going to use that." Where'd you get your
It's
samples
happened.
from?
It's happened a couple of times. Like I get my samples from YouTube. You know, like I just yeah, I just take them straight from YouTube. But like that a couple of samples have been from they're like classic lines from films. Like I've used um in Seven Doors actually. It was the first song I wrote for Seven Doors was the song called They're Dead that was on the first split that
Yeah,
I did with Goat Witch and Born Undead. The samples I got for that were from Night of the Creeps, and it was the famous Tom Atkins
yeah.
quote where he was like, "Oh, I got good news and bad news, girls. The good news is your dates are here," and they're like, "What's the bad news?" They're dead. So like I've used stuff like that, and yeah, like it just depends what film I'm writing the song about, and I'm like, does this song need a sample? No, or like if the film has so many good like sound clips, I'm like,
Yeah.
right, I need to use so I'm gonna fucking use it.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I mean,
But
like on some of the newer Grave Ghoul stuff, um, there's not every song has a sample, but there is still a healthy dose of samples on there.
keep
So
the samples in. Because it's funny as like hearing what they can say in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that, it's cheesy as, but it's just so funny and it's just so fitting when
this
you
is
place
that.
into a song. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. But when it comes to writing music for your projects, how do you fix in your mind that you're only going to do a Grave Ghoul song or you're only going to do a Seven Doors song? What if you're writing for Grave Ghoul and then you're writing a couple of riffs and you're thinking, do you know what? That's actually Seven Doors. Does that happen to you sometimes?
I mean, I suppose when it comes to writing a riff, like if I'm going into it with the mindset of right, I'm writing for this project today, I will just like I'll noodle around to see what I can come up with. But sometimes like the odd riff does come out, and I'm like, right, okay, I'll save that for later. But a lot of the time, because Seven Doors, is on a 6 string guitar
Yeah.
in D standard, I tend to, like do it that way. It depends what guitar I'm using at the time, whether, like to see what comes out. Because like if I'm using one of my 7 strings, it's normally like the low IQ caveman shit that comes out. Whereas like if I'm using something like say fucking this, for example, my 6 string Jackson, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm gonna do some like some fancy noodly shit on that. And then, that's where some of the Seven Doors stuff comes from. So
You scared me when you said 7 strings because I thought you were going to start talking about dragons and castles and knights and stuff like that. So I'm glad that you didn't. But that was actually leading on to my next question. Um, like, what is your setup with each of your projects? And I presume that once you pick up the guitar for like that you use for Grave Ghoul, you know that you're just writing riffs for Grave Ghoul and it's not going to interfere with any other project. So what's your setup that you use for? Born Undead,
um,
Grave Ghoul, and Seven Doors.
so setup wise, where like I mentioned earlier on where I get like my tones and my drum sounds from,
Yeah,
right? So my drum sounds I get from Tune Track Easy Drummer 2. I kind of like fuck about with all the different like drum sounds they have to make a kit that works with whatever project I'm working on. The same with my guitar tones and my bass tones. I do those through Line 6 Pod Farm. Sorry if you can hear that. My cat is currently eating biscuits. Um, when it comes to like instruments, like it's convenient because I've got
yeah,
the
yeah.
rack
It was very
behind
much
me.
so.
So a lot of the newer Seven Doors stuff because it is in the works. Like I showed it a minute ago. Got my Jackson Warrior that I got a couple of years ago. That's for all
Beautiful.
the all the all the 6 string songs because I am writing a couple of 7 string songs for the new Seven Doors stuff because everyone likes Morbid Angel. So you know. So my BC Rich Ironbird I just used for whatever. I do a lot of guitar covers with it. I did
Yeah,
the Tenebro set using it.
that's right.
It's still got a little bit of fake blood on the back of the headstock,
You're not
So
cleaning it.
like I tried to, but it's sticky stuff.
It's a piece of
After
history.
that,
Leave it.
like after that set, I walked back to the hotel just a fucking sticky red mess. And like I sat down on the bed in the hotel and I stood up again to, go wash it all off. And I looked at the bed sheets, right? The white bed sheets. I was like, oh no, fake blood all over the bed sheets. So then before I went home a couple of days after that, I had to leave a note to say it's not real.
That-
So yeah, that's my BC Rich Iron Bird that I use for a lot of videos.
Did they not
Um,
contact you and say like you're going to have to pay for this because it's not coming out?
no. um, so this one is the one that I mainly use for Grave Ghoul. I used it when we played. I've used it to record everything that you've heard. I also use this one now for Born Undead.
Yeah,
But I use a different tuning for Born Undead. For Grave Ghoul, I use A standard. For Born Undead, I do drop G. So I just drop the A down to G. But yeah, I found this out today. So last weekend we we made a music video, right?
right, okay.
And I noticed today that my volume knob's missing,
Oh.
you know? So I've had to buy another one. I've looked everywhere around my rack, can't fucking find it. And then I look back on some of the music video, like some of the video footage that we got, and there's a bit that you
No
see in the
way.
video where you see the knob pop off.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
So now my volume knob from this guitar is in a graveyard in Darwin.
That is
So
crazy.
I've ordered some new ones, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna fix that. For the 7 string songs that I'm doing for Seven Doors, I use my Ibanez Universe 7 string.
nice.
If you're a Morbid Angel fan or you like, like mid 90s Cannibal Corpse, you'll recognize this.
I was thinking
'Cause
that
it's
the first thought that I had was that not like Doug Cherito or something like that from Forbidden? Did he not have that in the Twisted into Form days? That's what I thought when I saw that. Beautiful guitar.
I've never really listened to Forbidden, so I couldn't tell you.
There you go.
But I know that Jack Owen used to use he used this to record some of the songs on Vile, which is my favorite Cannibal Corpse album. And
We are going to
obviously
have an argument in October, by the way.
fantastic. I look forward to it. But you know, Prey from Morbid Angel uses a similar guitar. I don't know if he's got this exact one,
Yeah,
but I know that he does use a universe, but I think he's got a green pick guard on his instead of just the plain black with the green pickups and everything. But
yeah.
yeah, the reason I bought this was because of Morbid Angel. um,
There you go.
and then to record on my bass, I just use this Soundgear 5 string.
Do you use the
So
five strings?
yeah, so basically for like say if I'm doing Seven Doors and I'm doing the 6 string songs, I'll just completely ignore this bottom string, But then for all the like really muddy, heavy shit that I do with the seven
Yeah,
string,
yeah.
that's when that lower string comes in. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I do have a couple more, but they're in the bedroom. I've got a 4 string bass that was a cheap shit one that I got from Toman a few years ago, and I've got an LTD M100 that I also use sometimes. That's apart from my Ibanez Universe, that's my only other guitar that's a normal shape.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
so
so jealous. I wish I could do what you do. I actually had a BC Rich one time, and I tried to
yeah,
play it, but then I was like, why is it not making a noise? I forgot you had to learn how to play the bloody thing. Um, but maybe one day I'll do it again. I mean, I'm only 51. I could be in the oldest Scottish death metal band of all time or something like that by the time I learn how
do
to
it,
play. Um,
do it, make it happen.
yeah, but I'll get you to do a guest solo. But
I charge for that now, by the way.
oh, do you? Do you?
Yeah,
But yeah, no, that was really interesting, like the different setups that you have and everything like that. But the question I wanted to ask was, with all your EPs, your splits, your albums, your singles, of Born Undead, Grave Ghoul, and Seven Doors. Is there anything that you would love to re-record if you had the opportunity to do so? Looking back, is there something that, oh, I wish this was the guitars were higher in the mix or the vocals were higher in the mix, or was there something that you've not been happy with that you wish you had the opportunity to re-record?
I mean, honestly, a lot of the older Seven Doors stuff, like anything that I released before the first album, I'd love to because I listened to the stuff that I mixed
Yeah,
next to the album that Ben mixed, or the last EP that I brought out that Mike mixed. Like I listened to like my mixes next to that, and I'm like, oh, my stuff sounds like shit, man.
yeah.
So like, I'd love to hear what it'd sound like if it was properly mixed. Shout out to Ben King and Mike Hardesty for doing a fucking banging job on
Absolutely,
those
absolutely.
recordings.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's just something like that I like to ask, especially if there's a lot of material written. If there was a chance, I remember asking Ingested if there was an album that they would like to re-record, and Jason was like, "Yeah." I can't remember the name of the album, but he was like Suppuration, and it was called Suppuration Two or something like that. So that's what they done. So I
Mm,
just wondered if there was something similar for your good self.
yeah. I mean, I I mean, as a lot of people know, I've been working on the new Graveghoul album, which there might be some news on that coming very, very soon.
Yeah,
You'll see. But yeah, as far as songs that I want to re-record, there are a couple of old songs from the first 2 EPs, or so the compilation or whatever, that have made it onto the album and that have been mixed properly and sound fucking huge. The album was mixed and mastered by the Mortuary Ghoul himself.
Ooh,
So
tasty.
it sounds big and disgusting.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah, I
was it because that you had felt that they hadn't received the justice, the songs hadn't received the justice that they deserved that you're bringing them onto the debut album?
yeah, kind of. I mean, I think going forward, as far as like albums and whatever go with Graveghoul, I'm not going to be mixing anything now because I've been in
Yeah.
touch with the Montgomery Ghoul. He's more than happy to work on my stuff, and he does a fucking incredible job of it. I'm now in that suffocation mindset where any new release I bring out, there's going to be at least one old song on there that's mixed and mastered properly because they've been doing that since Breeding the Spawn, haven't they?
Nice.
Because that album is notoriously like the production on it is shit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
since then, they've just been re-recording one song from that album and putting them on each release since then.
Love
So, that
it.
might be my mindset going forward is, re-recording an old song and putting it on there. But, we'll see how it goes.
Well, it just means that you need to write another 7 albums or something like that before well, the amount of material that you've written for Gravegirl, you'll be here till doomsday, I'm afraid.
To
But
be fair, it's what I enjoy doing. It's fun music. Like since getting back from Dead of Winter in January, I was like, I need to get an album out, and the whole album was maybe written in the space of 2 or 3 months. Like written, recorded, finished, and everything. And
that's
it wasn't until maybe was it July or I think it was like mid-July that I got in touch with the Mortuary Ghoul to mix and master it because he put a thing on his Instagram. He was like, "I'm offering my mixing services." I'm like, "Good." I wanted to ask you. Like, I wanted to ask him originally, but I wasn't sure if he was up for like mixing anyone else's or
yeah,
just his own
yeah,
because I've always loved how fucking like huge, deep, and fucking filthy the Mortuary Ghoul stuff sounds.
yeah.
And now, like, yeah, honestly, I can't wait for everyone to hear it.
But it just shows you how far you've came in such a short period of time. It was only like a 2020 when you released your first ever single, to now getting people like Mortuary Gold mixing and mastering your shit. All the EPs now, but redefining. In fact, I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'm not going to jump ahead, but we talked about.
Are we going into labels soon, are we?
Yes, we are. But talking of samples and horror, and I see you've conveniently moved your camera to some of your horror collection. I love your frames there. Um, but talking of samples and horror, you're equally into your films as you are your music. So, what is
Yeah.
your favourite genre of horror and why? I mean, is it slasher, is it body horror, or is it psychological horror? What's your favourite genre of horror and
I
why?
think I can't. There's two that are my absolute favorite, and I can't pick between the two because they're both what got me started on horror,
Yeah.
and they're just so fucking good. And that's slasher films and zombie films.
Okay.
You know, like as you can see, there's not a lot going on up here, so I like the simple stuff. No, see, I'm into giallo films as well. I like to think, but yeah, slasher films and zombie films because when my oldest brother, it's always the brothers that are corrupting me.
Yeah,
You see, so my oldest brother, he always used to get stuck babysitting me, when my parents were out and my other brother was out doing whatever the fuck I don't know. Um, but yeah, my oldest brother's really into horror films. You know.
yeah.
And when he was babysitting me, he showed me John Carpenter's Halloween,
Okay.
which traumatized me. And, I didn't revisit it until my early teens. And since then, I've been obsessed with it. He also showed
Yeah, man,
me
how friggin' old were you when you first saw it?
five.
Yeah, I think we need to have a chat with your brother.
I mean, around that same time, he also put on Night of the Living Dead, like the original black and white one.
Yeah,
And again, scared the shit out of me. I didn't revisit that until I was a teenager. And to be fair, even though like with how dated it is and whatever, because it's a black and white film, still holds up. It's still unsettling. It's still terrifying. The same with Halloween.
yeah,
Like when I got back into that as a teenager, it was still really unsettling.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's fucking creepy, isn't it? Because like it didn't matter what shot you were looking at, and the fucking Michael Myers lurking in the background somewhere,
Yeah.
and that's why Halloween is still my favorite horror film.
See, you really annoy me because I was about. See, normally I was going to ask what your three favorite movies are, but you've been asked that 100 times. I might still ask you that again. But what's the film where that you've watched the most and you know it line by line? But if ever you wanted to watch a film and just pass the time, that's the film that you would put on. What's your number one?
I mean, I'd say probably Halloween, but next to that, see if it's on the shelf. It isn't. It's down there. I'd probably say Dawn of the Dead,
Okay.
like the original Dawn of the Dead from 1978. I quote that all the time. And the
Right.
same with like I know it sounds fucking stupid, but Shaun of the Dead as well, right?
That's a funny as.
If you sit and watch Shaun of the Dead with me, you're gonna want to kick me out of the fucking room because I'll sit there and I'll quote it as it's happening. Because
Yeah.
like I've got a friend that I went to school with, right? And any time we'd hang out, he's like, "Oh, let's watch Shaun of the Dead." I'm like, "Oh, okay." But now I'm that friend. I'm like, "Let's fucking watch Shaun of the Dead." And like a lot of that film, same with Hot Fuzz and stuff like that. A lot of those films have
Yeah.
just been ingrained in my normal vocabulary now.
Yeah. What I find funny about the old zombie films is like you get people running away from the zombies and they're scared and all the rest of it. But if you actually look at the zombies, it takes them half an hour to cross the bloody road. I'm like, why can't you just run away from them? You know?
I mean,
Um,
the perfect example of that would be Burial Ground.
there you go.
I think, yeah, I mentioned this when we did the interview with you at Dead of
Yeah,
Winter.
yeah,
Like, honestly, the zombies in this are so fucking slow that you could easily outrun them in no time.
yeah.
Like if you fucking legged it to like the next town or whatever, you'd never see them again. But no, people are fucking stupid, aren't they?
I
So,
know, I know. But my favourite film of all time is, and I can say it line by line, is The Exorcist 3. Um, George C. Scott, I fucking love it. Love it.
mm.
Love it. But that was what I was going to ask. Like, so what's your take on horror films today then, where they focus more on jump scares? I mean, do you think that some modern films have the same cult feelings as, say, for example, the Italian horror? Um,
I mean, I'm not completely against modern horror. Like a lot of it is dog shit, right? Like if you look through the horror section on Netflix, don't fucking bother. You know, like I was surprised when
what
I
about The
found Fright
Haunted
Night
of
on
Hill
there.
House? Did you not get jumped at that? Did you not like that?
To be fair, yeah, all right. Haunting of Hill
Thank
House
you.
was really good, and I shat my pants watching it. But like films like I'm only saying this because I saw the new one in the cinema on Friday, but the Conjuring films, you know, the first two Conjuring films are really, really good, you
100%.
know, especially the first one because it feels like it's not just because of the time that it's set in, because it's set in the 70s, but it feels like that film could have been made in the 70s. And
Right,
that's why I
okay.
love that so much because it reminds me so much of like the Amityville horror
Yeah,
and stuff like that that came out in 79,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And like films that feel like they could have done really well back in the 70s and the 80s is what I love, you know.
right.
But then there's also some modern films like Weapons that are
I
completely
fancy
new.
that. Yeah,
I went and saw it about a week after it came out and really,
yeah,
really good. Films like Weapons that are doing something completely new that still work as well, you
yeah,
know. But like but then there's just the absolute slop that comes out on some of the other streaming services like Netflix, Like, and I feel like I've fucking seen all of that. And like studios, like this is probably going to get a little bit personal now because they've upset me. But studios like Blumhouse that
yeah,
just churn out any random shite, you know, I'm not happy with that. The like when they were handling the newest Halloween trilogy, you know, I was a bit skeptical, but then I saw the first film that they brought out in 2018, and I
yeah,
thought, oh, this is incredible. Like that 2018 Halloween film was fucking brilliant. It was the best one since the original. Then a couple years later, they brought out Halloween Kills, and I know a lot of people hate that film, but for me, it does exactly what it says in the title, right? There's a lot of really juicy kills in there. I say juicy because
They've inspired 10 of your song's lyrics.
like Halloween Kills, it does exactly what it says in the title, and I love that. But then Halloween Ends comes out and completely fucking ruins everything. like, like following on from Halloween Kills, I was like, oh, how are they going to end this trilogy? I was so excited. And then I finally went and saw Halloween Ends, and I wish I hadn't. I spent about a week sulking. I was like, fucked it up.
The legacy's been
But
ruined. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like I rewatched it again quite recently, right? After I've, done some thinking and I'm like, okay, I get what they tried to do. They just didn't do it very well, and they probably just shouldn't have done it in the first place, right? But the last 20 minutes of that film is exactly what I wanted to happen. Like the way that they finished it was great.
Yeah.
It's just like the hour and a bit that preceded that was dog shit, you know? And
Yeah.
then they got that same director to make the new Exorcist film. What did you think of that, Ricky?
I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen
Keep
the
it down.
reviews.
It's dog shit.
Is it? Oh, I'm disappointed. I mean, I saw the previews for it, and I thought, yeah, it looks good, but I haven't got around to watching it yet. But
There's a reason why that director was fired from making any more, because they were originally going to make a trilogy. But after that film came out and did really fucking, like, the reviews were terrible, they
yeah,
sacked him from it altogether.
I really loved The Exorcist, the two series, especially the first one.
Hmm.
I think it was on
I enjoyed the
Netflix,
series as well.
but
It was
absolutely
a it was a
brilliant.
Prime series.
Yeah,
It was a Prime series, yeah.
so it was. So it was. But I would recommend the two Sinister films. I would recommend Hereditary. I can't remember the actress, but it's an award-winning performance. Absolutely,
Tony Collette.
that's the one. Absolutely
Yeah.
stunning. What a performance. Scared the shit out of me. But anyway, oh, here we go. I'm surprised you've not got that in alphabetical order.
Oh no, I'm not that like
Anal.
yeah, I'm not that anal with it. But one film that's come out, it was my favorite film of last year, right? It's it's a it's a classic subgenre. It's a slasher film, right? But it did something completely different. A lot of people hated it,
Yeah.
but in a violent nature,
Okay.
right?
Nice wee hook
It
there. Yeah.
it's basically like, say if it was a Friday the 13th film, but you follow Jason around like as
Yeah.
he's just walking through the woods, right? But it's done so well. The kills are savage, and I never got bored, right? The problem that people had with this film is that they thought it was boring, right? But when it came on Prime, because we didn't get a chance to see it in the cinema, right? So when it came out to rent on Prime, we rented it and we watched it, and we both fucking loved it. Like myself and Laura, my partner, right? We fucking loved it, right? But then looking at a lot of other people's reviews saying, "Oh, it's fucking boring," it's like, grow up, go watch a Marvel film or something.
Do you know what you need to do? You need to watch Ghost or something like that. You need a wee bit of romance in your life. Get round that clay pit and stuff. Just get a wee bit more romance in your life. I worry about you, son. I worry about you.
You know what?
Um,
I've like, funny you say that. I've not watched Ghost, but Laura has, and she loves that film, and she's still not pinned me down to watch it yet.
well, I'll have words with her in October when she comes up.
But
Um,
recently, we did watch Roadhouse recently with
Good
Patrick
film.
Swayze in it, and that was fucking well good.
Yeah,
So
yeah. With Patrick Swayze in it.
yeah,
Oh, you've not watched the one that was out a couple of years ago with
oh, with Jake Gyllenhaal. No, I've not
and
watched
Callum
that.
McGregor. That's good as well.
No, I've not watched that because the original's got Patrick Swayze and Sam Elliott in it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like 80s Sam Elliott, fantastic.
Right, we're digressing a wee bit. We're digressing a wee bit. I just have to ask though, did you get a wee jump scare in The Conjuring in the cinema?
Yeah, yeah,
Well, there you
yeah.
go.
We did.
It worked then,
We
didn't
did.
it? It worked then.
You see. Laura's the only one. Well, no, we went with her brother as well, right? They didn't like it, right? I enjoyed it because I knew what I was in for, right? I knew it wasn't going to be very good, but it was going to do exactly what I expected it to do, and that's give a couple of spooky moments and maybe like make me shit myself a couple of times. And yeah, there was one jump scare that got everyone in the room. There was someone way in the back because we were stuck at the front because we got there late and it was a sold out screen, right?
Okay.
And there was someone at the back that fucking screamed. At that one bit, there was a couple of pretty decent
Yeah.
jump scares in it, but there was one that got everyone.
Well, there you go.
And
There you
and
go.
and yeah, Laura's extremely jumpy, so you know,
Well,
so
I haven't
you know,
seen it yet, so I'm looking forward to seeing what it's. I'll know instantly by the sounds of things what that jump scare was.
hmm. I
Um,
mean, don't go into it with high expectations, expecting a masterpiece. Just go into it knowing that it's a Conjuring film and that it's the last one.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah. Listen, Ryan, I thank you so much for your time. Believe it or not, I still have a few questions for you, mate. But talking of the horror and the samples, you've also a few releases under the moniker of Freudstein. So was this something in your mind for quite some time and it took a long time to put together? Or once you'd focus your mind on it, the tracks and the releases came actually quite quickly?
I mean, I've since the first lockdown, I've always wanted to learn how to play the keyboard and do my own like horror soundtrack stuff because that's one thing that I do love from old horror films is the scores,
Yeah,
right? Like the score for the original Halloween, fucking like Dawn of the Dead, Zombie, The Beyond, stuff like that is just amazing, you know. And I discovered an artist through lockdown called Slasher Dave, who's the vocalist of Acid Witch,
yeah,
and he also does his own like horror synth project, right? That is like phenomenal stuff. So I started getting into that. I was like, oh, I'd love to do that kind of stuff. So then, yeah, after a couple of
did you
years of
have to
listening
buy
to
a
that,
keyboard or did you already have one?
oh yeah, no, I had to buy one. But
Okay.
I actually got Flasher Dave to do the intro for the Seven Doors album. So, he was nice enough to do that because he did the intro for the first Live Burial album, which I love that because the intro for that sounds exactly like the Zombie 2 theme
Yeah,
song. I'm like,
yeah.
oh yeah, that's good stuff. But yeah, it was what was it, last year or the year before? Can't remember, but I bought a keyboard and then oh no, did I buy the synthesizer first? I can't remember, but I bought a synthesizer and I bought a keyboard, right? And when I started recording the Freudstein stuff, I didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing. All right. But I think like my knowledge of like how notes work and stuff like that on guitar kind of helps with the way that I do keyboard
Yeah.
stuff because I don't know music theory. I know just the basic stuff.
Okay.
So then when it comes to like learning stuff on the keyboard, I have no idea how to read music. I'm just winging it at this point. So I'm just fucking around to see what works with what. And then it was when I started chatting with Ben from Iron Fortress that he started to, toy with the idea of me doing an intro for the Halloween mixtape that he brings out every year called Torturous Horrors Await. So he asked me to do the intro for the one last year. And I was like, yeah, okay, I can do that. And so I set my keyboard up, started fucking about with it, and I, came up with the intro for that. It sounds again, I'm completely ripping off Fabio Frizzi with the zombie soundtrack. Uh, but if it works, it works. And yeah, he was happy with that. And then he mentioned to me about doing an album of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's something I've always wanted to do, so I'll give it a go. So then I started, thinking, right, I thought of like a concept for it. And then I thought, right, what kind of film would it be, for me to kind of think what kind of music to write for it. And the way that I came up with the concept for Echoes from Beyond, the first Freudstein album, was basically if The Exorcist met The Beyond with a little bit of the Evil Dead. You know, it's basically like your religious horror that's got some sort of like cosmic shit going on, and oh yeah, there's demons as well. You know, but then I thought, just kind of like try to make it sound a bit like classical, I guess, along with some like classic like synth sounds.
Yeah,
And then that album came out last October. Was it last October? Yeah, last October. Um, and then yeah, that's how Freudstein came about.
absolutely incredible. You're just a freak of nature. I wish I can do what you do. Um, but this is probably the last question in relation to your musical projects. Where could we find yourself? Where could we get merch from? And do you have any merch that you would like to show us?
Yeah, so at the moment there's nothing really on any of my stores because I'm starting to run out. But yeah, you can find Seven Doors merch on the Seven Doors Bandcamp. Got maybe five small t-shirts left. If anyone's small and wants a t-shirt of Seven Doors, go buy that. Um,
Are they
I've
always a
just
bugger to sell?
I
It's-
small. Ask anyone, right? If you end up having any shirts, they're always fucking small, right? Like I only recently sold the last Graveghoul shirt that was a small, right? So I'm happy about that. But I recently had a delivery of these new Graveghoul t-shirts.
Gee, that's cool, man.
So I put up a pre-order for those at the end of July. A couple of people pre-ordered them, so these will be shipped out to those people soon. These will also be available at our show in Glasgow on October 11th.
Yeah, a minute, wait, a
Um,
minute, wait, a minute. Just hold that thought, mate. Hold that thought. It's not ready yet. We'll talk about that, you know.
okay, this may be available at a possible future show that hasn't been mentioned yet, or whatever the fuck.
No, no,
But
not
yeah,
yet, not yet. It will be coming. We will be talking about it.
but yeah, it'll be those and some other shirts that I haven't had printed yet that I think might do pretty well because I think the design is sick as fuck. But
Sorry.
yeah, you can find all the Graveghoul music on Graveghoul Bandcamp. Same with Freudstein, same with Born Undead. You know, they've all got their own Bandcamp pages. It's all on Spotify as well if you do Spotify. So
Have you received a check yet from Spotify?
believe it or not, yeah, I've actually made a little bit of money from that. Like it was after all the stuff, all the Seven Doors stuff that was on Spotify, right? I checked after a couple of years because Bruce in Deadwood Lake, he used the same distributor that I do to get stuff on Spotify and like, Apple Music and stuff like that.
Okay.
He messaged us saying, guys, we've got like 100 some odd quid on Ditto Music, so I'm gonna split it three ways. You know? And I'm like, oh, cool. How did you check that? And he told me, and then I checked. I was like, there's fucking 60 quid in here. So
That's your
now, so now, so now, every now and again, I watch it with eager eyes. I'm like, oh, fucking hell.
that's your food bill for a week, you know.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I can afford to live this week.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
But this is really a deep dive because we've still got like
Oh,
7 or 8 questions, mate, I'm afraid. But as you touched on it earlier, you've also got a YouTube channel entitled Freudstein, where you've done covers of so many bands and so many songs. I mean, you've got 1.75 thousand subscribers. So I'm not going to lie to you, it makes me jealous. So please follow me as well, Ricky of Moshville Times. But
do
again,
it.
hey, I like you, I like you. We're not going to fight anymore in October. Um, but you kind of talked on the earlier because I was wondering if it was something that you started through COVID and you were just sitting around doing nothing. But it sounds as if it's just something that you just do. You just, whenever you've got spare time, you pick up the guitar and it's something that you do. But do you know what your most popular video is?
My most popular video is my cover of Left Hand Path by Entombed.
Certainly is. Do you know what
Yeah.
your, do you know what, see, I knew you would know that, but do you know what your second is?
Now you're asking. No, I don't know
I
what my
am
second
asking.
is.
And it's a, I fucking hate them because they're called Sanguis Sugar Bog.
Oh yeah, my dead as shit cover.
Dead as
Yeah.
shit, dead as shit. See, don't think you're one
Yeah.
up on me, boy. But yeah, so is it something that you enjoy doing, and is it just whenever you've got a spare 5 minutes, you may as well just press the record button and just record something?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like what I've always liked, just like videoing myself playing guitar because I can see the progression, like, through the years and whatever.
Yeah.
And I see that when I look through my old YouTube videos, I watch some of them now, I'm like, oh, that's fucking shit. And like I see like how my newer ones sound. I'm like, see, I should have been doing like stuff like this from the start, but I've always liked doing stuff like that. And then when I got my recording set up, I was like, see, I can do this properly now instead of just, setting my phone up next to a speaker and then it comes out sounding like mud, you know. So I properly record like my covers and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just something that I've been interested in because I used to watch a lot of guitar covers when I was a teenager learning guitar as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, this kind of helps that. But I will say this though, recently my views have gone down a lot.
You read my mind.
So people need to fucking sort that shit out and watch my fucking videos because like I think recently the most popular video I've had was the Seven Doors playthrough that I did a couple of months ago, and that's only like 300 something views,
Yeah,
you know. But then this past week I put out a Mulder cover
that's right.
and I looked earlier on, 70 views.
Yeah. It's
Fucking sorted out. I need
I,
to get
ju-
another left-hand path out there. That's what it is.
yeah, yeah. I just don't know. It's just all the shite algorithms and stuff like that, you know. It's just it's something that I've never been able to figure out myself. So I just put the videos out there, and if people watch them, people watch them.
Hmm.
But yeah, I noticed that a lot of your most popular videos are ones that you've done like years ago, like your black metal ones. Was it Emperor as well as Behemoth? I can't mind, but
Um, I think I got rid of most of my old Behemoth ones because they were shit, but I did a few Belphegor ones
that's right. That was
as
it.
well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, go and check out Freudstein, ladies and gentlemen, if you want your guitar covers, especially if you want to know how to play Tenebro songs, because I think 50 of the uh, videos that he's done are Tenebro. But you've released so many things now on important record labels, so naming a few, Iron Fortress, Dismal Fate, as well as Redefining Darkness. So how do they come about? Like, are you approaching them with demos saying, would you like to release these? Or do you find now in the last few years, they're now coming to you saying, what are you doing? We want to release it.
I mean, the only label that I've gotten in touch with to release any of my stuff was Dismal Fate. So when I put like the first Seven Doors EP, I put that out on my own, right? Just digitally on
Yeah,
Bandcamp.
yeah,
I didn't have any idea how to sort out like tapes or CDs or anything like that. So I got an Instagram message from Thomas from Redefining Darkness about doing a tape release. So yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, go for it. I'm happy with that. And that's how I got in touch with Redefining Darkness.
yeah,
I also got a message from Cavernous Records about doing a CD
yeah,
release.
yeah,
So obviously I was happy to do that as well. Um, then the split after that was just a YouTube and Bandcamp thing, nothing big happened with that because it like stupidly I should have put a lot more effort into that, done it properly, and released it maybe a little bit more time after the EP came out,
yeah.
But yeah, and then when it came time to do the album, I got back in touch with Thomas from Redefining Darkness, and he was more than happy to put it out.
It's a
So
it's a
yeah.
good label.
So,
I play anger rot. I play sentient horror. It's a good record label. So,
it
um,
is.
fair play to you, sir. It shows you exactly what's happening to you. Your profile's increasing, mate. So I'm chuffed for you. This is turning into some interview. This is more like an autobiography, Ryan. But I
I
do
hope you're making
appreciate
notes because I could sell this.
I do appreciate your time. I've only got a few questions left, mate, but I do appreciate
Yeah,
your
no worries.
time. But if there's anyone that you would love to collab with, living and dead, who would it be?
I wasn't ready for that.
I never said this was going to
Um,
be easy.
I mean, because pretty much everything he touches turns to gold, and I've listened to quite a few of his bands. Chris Reifert from Autopsy, I'd love to collaborate with him because like Abscess, banging, the Ravenous that he did with Killjoy, banging, and obviously Autopsy, banging, you know.
You're going
I
up in my estimations.
and oh, what's that Death Doom band that he does now? Is it Static Abyss?
That's the one.
Yeah, yeah. Again, banging. I I just love to collaborate with Chris Reifert and dare I say as well because I think it'd be quite fun. Will Rama from Mortician.
Get it done.
Like I've spoken to a few people recently. Like I wish that they come to the UK, but now I understand why they can't.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Less
what a
said,
guy!
less said about that, the better. But what about somebody that's unfortunately no longer with us? If you
Someone
ever
that's
had the
no
chance
longer
to,
with us. Um, I've already mentioned him, but Killjoy.
yeah,
You
I knew you
know,
were going to say that. Yeah.
I'd love to do that, or like, and Chuck Schuldiner as well.
Oh,
Because I've watched the documentary, and I know that he was like wasn't always the easiest person to get on with,
yeah,
but then again, like Death was his band.
yeah,
Like I can understand like why he would have been a little bit,
yeah.
you know, like difficult to work with because like with Death, you know, he had the final say basically. you know. So yeah, I
I
would have loved
remember
that.
seeing, I remember seeing Death on the tour when Chuck wasn't in the band, but the rest of the band toured.
Hmm.
So I saw that the False Death tour. I still liked it. I like I love the music.
Yeah,
Spiritual healing for me. Love it. Um, so
Human's my favorite Death album.
what did you say?
Human's my favorite Death album.
I'll give you that. Flattening of emotions, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Lack of comprehension.
Hmm.
Um, but so just another couple of fun questions then. So what are you doing on the live front with any of your projects? What's coming up in the to see the Gentle Giant on stage?
Well, next for me, I suppose, with Grave Ghoul, October 11th, Audio Lounge in Glasgow with Abysmal Decay, Engulfed, and Cremulation.
Yep.
That's gonna be fucking sick. I can't wait. Um, then a few weeks after that, um, Dave, Christian, and I fly out to Italy to go and do 3 dates with Brumo and Tenebro, which
Yep.
I'll be doing double duties for that tour. So what'll be 3 shows for everyone else will be 6 for me.
Yep.
We start off in Verona on Halloween,
Cool.
then we'll do Bologna the day after, and we're finishing off in Rome. So that's going to be a load of fun.
I hope the
As far as
hotels
live
that you're going
goes,
to be staying in, I hope the hotels that you're going to be staying in haven't listened to this interview about bed sheets. Um, mm,
to be fair though, it's not me that's booking it. It's Tenebro's booking manager. So you know,
But I can just think if that was after one night, what are you going to be like after 3 nights with red slime all over your body, pretty much?
oh, I'm going to be a fucking mess, man. I feel sorry for like whoever owns the guitar I'm going to be using because like the guys in Tenebro have been really good to us. They've made it so that it's easy for us to fly over, so we don't even have to bring our instruments. So
Excellent.
for that tour, we're going to be borrowing gear for the whole thing. So we just pretty much have to fly over with whatever bag we need.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So Piece of piss, man.
Well, I take it you found your passport then.
I did, but as soon as I found it, it was due for renewal. So luckily, it's been sorted now.
So
So
there's your 60 quid from Spotify going then.
yeah, and the fucking rest. That was nearly a hundred doing that.
Yeah, I know.
Fucking
Crazy,
ridiculous.
crazy.
Yeah.
But let's say that you're playing a gig and it's Born Undead, Freudstein, Grave Ghoul, and Seven Doors that are playing. What is the one song from each project that you would be looking forward to play the most and why out of each project? So let's say Freudstein are going to open then. So the intro, what do you most enjoy playing?
I mean, when it comes to Freudstein, I haven't actually played any of the songs since recording them. So I can't remember how to play any of the Freudstein stuff apart from maybe the odd melody here and there.
Yeah.
But, probably the first song that I wrote, which is Terror of the Undead, which was the intro track for the Torturous Horrors Awaits mixtape from Iron Fortress.
Okay.
That would be my pick for Freudstein. For Born Undead, um, Vomitus Cadaverous, the
Okay.
title track from the EP,
Yeah.
just because it's got that that slow like mortician like umpa beat going to it, so it's just a nice bouncy song, and
Yeah.
it is chuggy and it's stupid and love it. Um,
Seven Doors
Grave
next.
Dawn. Oh,
No,
Seven
seven.
Doors.
I
Um,
think Grave Goal headline it. So what's Seven Doors next?
okay, Seven Doors. See, there are so many fucking Seven Doors songs that a lot of them I can't even remember. Maybe the Final Gate,
Okay.
just
Played
purely
that a good
for
few times, mate. That
like.
that song off the EP, that's the one that I play the most.
I appreciate that, but I think mainly because it's got two guitar solos in it,
Yeah.
and the midsection of the song, I've had a lot of people talk to me about that because of how fast the vocals are, right? And I've got a story about that. So originally, I knew what I wanted to happen with that section because it's like a chuggy triplet riff, and I wanted the vocals to go along with the guitar chugs. So it
Yeah.
was, it was quite fast. Originally, I reached out to Daryl Boyce from Scordatura and Party Cannon about doing that,
Okay.
right? But I think like he sent me a demo version of it, and I thought, yeah, that's sick. And then he was like, yeah, cool. I need to like properly record them, and then I'll get them sent over to you. But he never did because around that time
He's
was when
so
he was
busy.
joining Party Cannon,
Aye.
or when he was officially being announced for Party Cannon. So he's super fucking busy, and I thought, right, I'm gonna have to do this myself, and I
Yeah.
did, and it was so hard. I for one section, I've never written so many lyrics to fit in one small space of music before. But to try
Were
and
you
fit
pissed off
every
with the
word.
person that wrote the riff?
What, me? Honestly, like after I recorded it, I was so happy that I managed to get it done. But whilst I was recording it, I was like, "Why the fuck do I do this to myself?" But then I was like midway through, I was like, "No, it's going to sound cool, and it'll be one of the best moments on the EP." Which apparently, according to a lot of people that have spoken to me about it, it is. You know, like it's just got that classic Cannibal Corpse feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
S-
yeah, no, I'm
Something
fucking
tells
happy.
me you're not going to do that again.
We'll see. I mean, I say that I did pretty much the exact same thing with Dr. Butcher by Graveghoul, but doing that live, I get Dave to do those bits vocally because there's no fucking way that I can play the riff because like it's not necessarily a hard riff, it's just a couple of power chords, but like you're skipping all over the place and
Yeah.
it's like down picking and all that. I've got to concentrate on that. There's no way I'm doing those vocals as well. I'm not fucking John Gallagher from Dying Fetus.
So you pass the
So
buck then. So if he fucks it up, then you can blame somebody rather than yourself.
I mean, to be fair, it's death metal vocals. You can't understand what he's saying anyway.
Absolutely.
That was
Absolutely.
my mentality. Like I'll tell you what, right? you won't mind me saying this because it's fucking funny, but the day that we had that jam before, at Dead of Winter before our set, Dave walks up to me when he gets to the venue and is like, I don't know any of the lyrics. Like he knows the odd important word that he needs to say. But other
Yeah,
than that, he doesn't he didn't have a fucking clue what the lyrics were. I'm like, okay, well, it's a good thing we're a death metal band, because you can just make toilet noises and no no one would care, you know.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, he pulled it off very well, the boy. And what about Gravego then, the headliner? What's your song?
Um, before I answer this, is when's this airing?
Probably at the weekend, Saturday, probably.
Okay, so I can't name the song, but something off the new album that may or may not be in the set list for the Glasgow gig.
Sorry, I thought I was getting an exclusive there, but never mind. That's okay. I know where I stand now, but I do
No,
thank
so
you
I,
for that.
I don't want big boy Italian Hannahs to get angry at me.
It's
So
all right. I'll sort them out. I'll sort them out. All right
but
then.
yeah.
Apart from that one, then, from your back catalogue, what's your favourite song?
Favorite song, I think Dr. Butcher was quite fun when we did that at Dead of Winter. Because
Yeah.
I know that's Kendo's favorite song by Graveghoul. He mentions it to me all the fucking time when we talk about it. We met up actually the night after Dead of Winter because I stayed an extra day this time to get some recovery
I was
before
going to
going
say
home
sober
because
up.
because like the first year I got there the night before, went and got absolutely steaming at the Solid Rock with a load of the vinyl community guys like Mark Gibson and all that. Shout out to Mark. Um, and yeah, then the day after that, met up with Dave, got absolutely fucking steaming again at the festival, and then had to go home because my train was at like 9:45 in the morning. So I had to get up like stupidly early, get myself sorted, make sure I had all my stuff, track to the train station. Because stupidly, the hotel that I always book is like a fucking half-hour walk from everywhere because it's cheap and I'm fucking stupid. So then this year, I got there a couple of days early because it was meant to be a 2-day thing that was ruined by the storm.
That's right.
So Tenebro was meant to play the first night, but instead, because the first night got cancelled, we had a rehearsal. So I was there for I think 4 nights, 4 nights, 3 nights, whatever. I was there for a long time. But then, yeah, we played the festival, and then the day after that, I had a day just to do whatever. So I met up with Hannah's and Gabrielle from Tenebro for breakfast. Hannah's was in a bad way, as he usually is after a night out. He did not take his sunglasses off once. Um, so yeah, and then I walked them to the train station. They went off to Edinburgh to then fly home. I took a little trip out to Necropolis to check that out because I'm a fucking nerd for graveyards as well. Um, so yeah, I went and checked that out. Got a phone call from Kendo asking what I was doing, and I'm like, oh, I'm just out and about at the moment. He was like, cool. Do you want to meet me at Weatherspoons at this time? I'm like, yeah, sure. Realized that I had to then hightail it back to the hotel to then have some tea. I think I picked up like a fucking it was either a Mackey's or a Popeyes or something. No, it wasn't. I had tea at Spoons. That was the day before. Uh, Getting my fucking days mixed up because again, before the Tenebra rehearsal, the day before the gig,
Yeah.
I ended up going into Glasgow to see what the damage was from this storm. And honestly, when I left the hotel, I saw like when they're doing like construction work, the metal fences that they normally
Yes.
put around. There was a couple of those that were blown over. It was like a scene from Threads. But then when I got further into town, there was no one around.
Yeah.
Apart from a couple of guys that were at the Solid Rock that I know. Shout out to Jake and Sean, um, and Dylan. I got fucking steaming. Thought I've got rehearsal in a couple of hours. Went back to the hotel, got a Popeyes on the way back, sobered up a little bit, met the Tenebro guys at the Solid Rock, started drinking again. But yeah, and then on the last day, sorry, I'll get back to that. On the last day, I got back to the hotel, dropped off some of my stuff because I went and picked up a couple of films from FOP. So yeah, I dropped off my stuff, charged my phone a little bit, um, and then yeah, in 5 minutes after that, I had to then leave the hotel again, trek through town to go to Spoons, met up with Kendo that was only supposed to be for like tea and a couple of pints. Fucking 6 or 7 pints later, you know,
It
the
just
same thing. Like the same thing happened again. I ended up fucking getting the same time train home, but it was a Monday instead of a Sunday, you know? So it was busy as fuck, pain in the ass getting home.
were you
But
allowed in the house again, or did you find the door was locked?
oh yeah, no, it's fine. At this point, I was, we were staying with my parents, so
Oh, right, that's right.
fine.
I'm all right. Don't worry about. I'm all right. What you need to do is stay away from Kendo. Right? He's the bad influence in all this. He's the king hooligan. I think you would be not so far down second. I think you're very close to him. But Ryan, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. But what can you say about future releases that you have for each of your projects? What are you allowed to talk about what you've coming up for the rest of the year, beginning of next
So
year?
coming up for the rest of the year. So one thing that I can say, if this is airing on Saturday, there is some news coming tomorrow, Sunday the 14th.
Okay.
Um, Something new and juicy for Grave Ghoul. So
Okay.
yeah, it
Not
might.
Thursday. Can I not put it out on Thursday?
No, sorry, mate.
I'll speak to Hannes.
Like I said, I don't want big boy Daddy Hannahs to come after me and like,
Look, he may be 6'4", but he's a feather. I'll deal with him.
you have to see some of the fucking chats we have on WhatsApp. He's a scary guy. Um, but but
Born
yeah, so
Undead.
there's Born Undead. Nothing confirmed yet. I'm working on the album.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier on, I'm about 8 songs into it. That means I'm not even halfway yet because I'm trying my hardest to rip off Mortician. Um, Seven Doors, September 24th, there might be a little something happening for
Okay.
a certain Iron Fortress Records involving Mr. Joe Bradley from Trenchfoot.
I don't like him.
Yeah.
No, he's a good guy. He's a very good guy.
I don't really rate him much either, but I'm just keeping him happy,
He
it
wouldn't
shuts
mind
him
us
up.
saying that. He wouldn't mind us saying that. He agrees.
He's a funny guy. He's very easy to pick on. So that's the news with Seven Doors. Maybe new album next year. We'll see how I get, like how far I get with that. Um, Sorry, what's left?
Freudstein.
Freudstein. I've started doing some work for bands, like intros, interlude tracks.
I was hoping you were going to
Um,
say that.
if you're in a band and you want like a synth track that sounds like it's from a 70s or 80s horror film, give me a message. I'm on Instagram. Like you can either message my personal page or the Freudstein horror music page. Go for it. Something I will say as well. I won't say the band name, but I've joined a new band or started a new band. I can tell you who's in it. On drums, Mike Hardesty, who
Okay.
mixed the last Seven Doors EP.
Okay.
The guys in Malediction know who he is. He's mainly known in the UK black metal scene. So
Okay.
he's on drums for us. I've recorded the guitar and the bass for a release, and on vocals, Paul Jones from Enchantment and Crypt Feeder. So
Do you know
yeah,
something?
this is your
You couldn't
exclusive
get any
briefing.
sexier. Honestly, you couldn't get any sexier.
Do you want to know how I could?
How?
It's in the same vein as Autopsy. Did I do it? Did I get any sexier?
In one condition, you,
Hmm.
you know where it's going to be played first.
Oh yeah, of course,
You're a good boy.
absolutely.
You're a good boy.
I've
I think you just like that because I said you were
I've left
sexy.
I've, I've left Paul in charge of all of the business shit because I've got enough going on, like having to
Yeah,
like talk to Moneyball and stuff. So I've left him in charge of that. I just play guitar.
yeah.
So
Not
yeah,
just, not just.
I'm not gonna say the name of the band. Obviously, like Quando knows because anytime a new band surfaces in the UK, he fucking knows about it.
He's a freak of nature as
Um,
well, isn't he? Absolutely
yeah, like literally,
unbelievable.
right? So Paul made the Instagram page for this new band. The first person to follow it was Quando, you know? So yeah, there's nothing to be announced yet because we've not finished recording everything that we need to. But so far it's sounding very good.
Is it going to be a
I've
gigging band? Is it going to be a live band?
I've spoken to the guys about it. I'd like it to be. I've reached out to someone to maybe play live guitar. It's someone that we both know. I'll tell you off air. Uh, but
Such a tease.
I am. But you know, you've got your exclusive. You know about a new band I'm in.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, again, I'm not saying any band names, but you know, those with eagle eyes could probably see because if you check my Instagram bio, it might be in that. Uh, so
I'm sure I actually saw. I won't name anything, but I'm sure Quando mentioned it, up and coming or something like that. So,
oh, of
um,
course he did.
aye, aye. So, you're in the
Yeah,
same
so
chats as I'm in. So,
yeah, exactly. So there's that. Again, no confirmed date for that yet, but we've been working on some stuff and it sounds pretty fucking sick.
on that note, Mr. Wills, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. What I've taken out from this probably 2 hour plus interview that we've had is that you need to spend more time with your partner, Laura.
Oh,
You
probably.
need more romance in your life. And but ultimately, what I want you to do is keep writing because everything that you do is absolutely pristine, and you'll know I'll play it to the death on this radio station. I love everything you do. I'm so looking forward to October the 11th. It's unfortunately a venue where I'll probably have to take the car, but it'll always be a pleasure seeing you, mate. And I wish you all the best with everything that you do. And I know this won't be the last time we'll talk because you're coming on my show on Friday. And I'll probably ask you the same questions again.
Fantastic. Well,
So
no,
absolute
I appreciate it.
pleasure, Ryan. You take care of yourself, mate.
You too. I appreciate that and thank you for having me.
You're welcome.